Rise. You may be seated. Calling civil action. Winters versus TBD Incorporated. Counsels, are you ready to make your appearances for the record?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thanks. Beginning with the plaintiff, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Brian Sanders, here as the plaintiff on behalf of Riley Winter. Today I'm joined by my co-counsel Jennifer Stevens.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And Michaela Meyer.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor, once the defense has had a chance to introduce themselves, we have a few housekeeping matters.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Kidos, and today, along with my co-counsel Chloe Loomer
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
and Rachel Juliana,
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
will be representing TBD in today's trial.
Do either counsels have a party representative at table?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. We intend to designate ours in just a moment.
At this time, we'd like to designate Sawyer Shaw as our party representative.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Plaintiff?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to designate Riley Winter as our party representative.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor, we also have several documents for Your Honor's reference throughout trial. These include the available case law, the complaint in this case, the special instructions, the stipulations, the pretrial order, and that is all. May I approach the defendant?
Have these been shown to opposing counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please approach.
Your Honor, we also have several documents marked Exhibit 1 through 22 that we intend to enter into evidence throughout this trial. We've shown these to opposing counsel. We don't intend to enter any of them at this time. We merely ask that you recognize that we will be entering them throughout this trial.
Okay.
Second, we'd like to ask your preference for movement about the well as well as approaching opposing counsel and witnesses.
For moving about the well during opening and closing statements, feel free to move about. In terms of during trial and examinations, you do not need to ask permission before approaching opposing counsel, but please reflect it for the record if you're showing them something. Please ask for permission before approaching a witness or the bench.
Yes, Your Honor. Finally, we'd like to constructively sequester all speaking objections from the jury.
So sequestered.
That's all the housekeeping matters for the plaintiff, and at this time we're ready to proceed with trial.
Defense.
Your Honor, along with that, we'd also like to invoke Midland Rules of Evidence 603 and 615, which constructively swears in and sequesters all witnesses, barring party representatives, of course.
All witnesses you are hereby constructively sworn in and sequestered.
Your Honor, at this time, we also would like to tender a copy of the answer to the complaint to the bench.
Has this been shown to opposing counsel?
We can show opposing counsel right now, if you'd like.
Please do.
This is the answer to the complaint. Permission to approach and tender.
You may. Thank you.
Along with that, both parties have met previous to trial and signed an intent to offer hearsay through Midland Rules of Evidence 8036, the records of regularly conducted business activities, and if Your Honor would like, we can reference a specific section, 90211, which demands that the aforementioned notice, records, or evidence certifications must be affirmatively made available during captain's meeting. We're just trying to certify that, say that we both met for this.
Okay.
Both parties have signed to the CBO.
Is this correct?
That's correct.
You may tender. It's more so fancy nowadays.
They don't even get 4 sheets of paper anymore.
Exactly.
It's a safe
You know?
environment.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense is ready to proceed into today's trial.
Okay. With that, let's move into opening statements. Plaintiff, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed at will.
Imagine, you're a Pulitzer Prize nominee. Every day you go to work and you work hard because you want to write the best articles that you can. But 2 days before Christmas, you walk into the office ready to start that new article, and that's when you find out that you were fired. Riley Winter when she was fired from TBD, an online publication, on December 23rd, 2015. But when Ms. Winter was fired, it wasn't for breaking policy or showing up to work late or any other legitimate reason. No, when Ms. Winter was fired, she was fired because at TBD, it was always about age. But first, let's start from the beginning. You'll hear that Winter joined TBD in 1988 as a junior copy editor. She worked her way up to become the senior staff writer, winning numerous awards in the process. But TBD completely changed when the new CEO, Sawyer Shaw, took over in 2014. Sawyer Shaw's secretary, Mr. Bobby Lynn, will tell you that Sawyer Shaw made TBD an online-only publication. But that wasn't Shaw's only change. Lynn will also tell you how on Shaw's first day, she fired many employees. And when Shaw was deciding who to fire, you'll hear that she said, if they look like our parents, they go. That was just the beginning of Shaw's comments. Riley will tell you about the constant teasing that she endured. In one email that she received with the subject line, "Not dead yet," Sawyer Shaw referred to Ms. Winter as a dinosaur. And in another email, you'll hear that Shaw said, "Age is an embarrassment." This was made clear to Ms. Winter when she received a card on her 50th birthday that was full of insults. About a month after that, Ms. Winter was fired. You'll hear from Mr. Bobby Lynn that Shaw said Winter was fired because she couldn't get with the times. And you'll also hear that a 26-year-old writer was hired to fill the senior staff writer position, which Riley Winter previously held. Our final witness today will be Dr. Sam Owens, who is a human resources specialist. He will tell you that there was a lack of training about age discrimination at TBD. There was an exclusive workplace environment at TBD. And there were inconsistent reasons why Ms. Winter was fired. Now, the defense may try to convince you that Ms. Winter didn't adapt to Shaw's changes, but that's simply not true. Mr. Lynn will tell you how Ms. Winter often used social media, even wanted to attend an additional social media training outside of work. And Riley will tell you that even though she didn't agree with the new idea to write shorter, more trivial articles, she still complied. Since we represent Ms. Winter, we have the burden of proof today, and it's one that we welcome. We will prove to you that 1, my client is a member of the protected class. This just means that she's over 40 years old, and the defense already agrees to this. 2, that the defendant took adverse employment action against my client. And this just means that termination qualifies as an adverse employment action, so the defense agrees to this as well. And 3, we will prove to you that the defendant took that adverse employment action because of my client's age, and we will show you that throughout the course of today's trial. We are confident that by the end of today's trial, you will see that Riley Winter was fired because of her age. When Sawyer Shaw said if they look like our parents, they go, it was about age. When she called Riley Winter a dinosaur, it was about age. And when Sawyer Shaw fired Riley Winter, it was always about age. Thank you.
Defense, are you ready?
May I inquire, do you have time cards?
Proceed at will.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, out of line and no longer the star of the show, that's the situation Ms. Winter found herself in when TBD transitioned to an online-only publication. Now, instead of telling you the facts today, the attorneys for Ms. Winter came up here asking you to believe a story. They were asking you to believe a story in which Ms. Winter was teased, ostracized, and made fun of in a company where she was the lead writer. Now, we as the defense will establish the facts. You'll hear today that Ms. Winter was the lead writer at TBD Incorporated, that she was the highest paid employee, making over $200,000 a year. And lastly, you'll hear that Ms. Winter was the face of TBD. But something opposing counsel didn't tell you is that TBD was failing with Ms. Winter as the lead writer. The evidence will show today that at the end of 2013, TBD was sinking financially. And so on January 2nd, 2014, my client, Sawyer Shaw, came in to rescue the company from financial disaster. Now you'll hear from witnesses on both sides of today's trial that Ms. Shaw is a reputable businesswoman, that she knows and has what it takes to make companies great and profitable. Now many employees were laid off at the start of TBD's transition, but as you will hear today, Ms. Shaw retained Ms. Winter because she believed she was owed some deference. After all, she was the lead writer at TBD Incorporated. However, after 2 long years of simply trying to get Ms. Winter to write a little bit less, summarize a little bit more, she wasn't able to do that. And so on December 23rd, 2015, my client made the necessary decision for the company of having Riley Winter and TBD part ways. But today's trial revolves around 3 key elements. The first 2, neither of us disagree on. Riley Winter was over the age of 40 during the time of the alleged action. And TBD and Riley Winter did part ways. It's that third element that's going to be the topic of discussion today. The plaintiff must prove to you today that it was age that was the leading factor in Ms. Shaw's decision to terminate Riley Winter. But today the burden of proof again lies solely on the plaintiff's table. We don't have to call any witnesses, but we're so confident in today's trial that we're going to call 3 witnesses of our own. Now we all know a person who performed at such a high level that they can get away with bending the rules a little bit, maybe even challenging the boss sometimes. But what happens when that person's not performing at that level anymore? What happens when that person is just average, or even below average? Our first witness, Sky Martin, will tell you that that was precisely the case that Ms. Winter found herself in TBD's transition. He'll tell you that Ms. Winter never really fit in with the company, that she wasn't meeting public and company expectations. Now our second witness, Dr. Fogel, who is an expert on mass media communication and electronic publication, will come up here and testify on Ms. Winter's performance at TBD Incorporated. You'll hear that after reviewing all of the statistics and documentation at TBD Incorporated, Ms. Winter just wasn't fitting the bill. Her performance, her statistics, and her numbers were nowhere where the first and the lead writer should be performing at. Our last witness will be Ms. Shore herself. Ms. Shore herself will tell you and explain to you the reasons why she fired Riley Winter herself. She'll tell you about the whole journey of TBD from when she took it over to Riley Winter's fire. She'll tell you that after checking up with Sky Martin, Riley Winter wasn't performing where she needed her to be. Ms. Shaw needed a person to be performing at their top level every single day. And every single day, Ms. Winter found herself needing to be pushed, constantly. At the end of today's trial, my co-counsel Chloe Loomer will come up here and ask you to deliver the verdict that is the correct verdict, a verdict of not liable for TBD Incorporated. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. You want me to have a score sheet? Phone scores. Completely up to you guys. Yeah, sorry to break character. Do you guys want a score sheet with actual scores from each of us? Okay. Is there an extra one by chance back there, or I can?
Where would it be?
There's, because there's only like full ballots.
I don't believe there is.
Yeah.
I will do a makeshift one, but we can proceed. Plaintiff, are you prepared to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we'd like to call Ms. Riley Winter to the stand.
Ms. Winter, you were constructively sworn in.
For the record.
My name is Riley Winter, last name spelled W-I-N-T-E-R.
And can you introduce yourself to the jury, Ms. Winter?
My name is Riley Winter, I live here in Midlands, and I've been a writer all my life.
Why are you here today, Ms. Winter?
I'm here today because I'm suing the company I used to work for, TBD, for firing me because of my age.
And if I may ask, what is your age?
Well, right now I'm 51, but at the time of my termination, I was 50.
All right, now let's start from the beginning. What is TBD?
TBD is a publication that now only runs online. It used to be a huge print magazine.
When did you first join TBD?
I first joined TBD in 1988 after I graduated from college.
What's the most recent position that you held with TBD?
Well, originally I started as a junior copy editor, but I eventually worked my way up to senior staff.
During your time with the company, were there any major changes in management?
Yes, there was a major change in management in January 2014 when Sawyer Shaw took over the company.
Did Sawyer Shaw make any significant changes to TBD?
Yeah, Sawyer Shaw let go of a lot of
Objection,
our...
speculation, Your Honor. May I be heard? Briefly, since Ms. Riley Winter has been established to have a good relationship or any relationship at all directly with Sawyer Shaw, she can't testify to any major changes that Ms. Shaw would want to Activity Incorporated if she knows any at all.
Your Honor, may I be heard?
Yes.
Ms. Winter was with TBD almost 20 years prior to when Sawyer Shaw took over. Therefore, when Sawyer Shaw did take over, she would know if there were major changes made to the company.
I believe the distinction that you're trying to make is, the question asked if there were any major changes made, and I think you're hitting on if Ms. Shaw wanted to make any major changes. Is that correct?
Your Honor, along with that, Ms. Riley Winter wouldn't know all of the major changes that Ms. Shaw actually did, since there was no relationship established yet. She could have made significant changes to finances and other parts of the company that Ms. Winter simply wouldn't know.
May I be heard, Your Honor?
Not necessary. I'm going to overrule the objection. Feel free to explore the changes that she's not aware of on cross-examination, but to any changes that she is aware of, she can testify to as to her personal knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Objection overruled. Please proceed.
I don't believe you had a chance to answer my question. Did Sawyer Shaw make any significant changes to TBD?
Right, so after Sawyer Shaw took over, I was asked to make my articles a lot shorter in length, a lot less substantial in content, and basically just appeal to a more pop culture audience.
Your Honor, I have in my hand what appears to be Exhibit 3. Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel Exhibit 3. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Ms. Winter, do you recognize this?
Yes, this is TBD's people policy. I signed it on the second page.
How do you recognize it?
I recognize it because I was given this policy after Sawyer Shaw took over.
And is it a clear and accurate depiction of the people policy?
Yes, it is.
Now, does the people policy say anything about TBD's disciplinary policy?
Yes, it does. Basically, says that TBD can fire their employees if they...
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, may be heard?
Yes.
This falls under the hearsay exception in the Middle Rules of Evidence Rule 801D2D, which states that a document or statement made by an employee at TBD is an exception to the hearsay rule.
Your Honor, I asked that this document be moved into evidence. We're going to be referring to specific statements inside that document.
Not necessary, but that still doesn't take care of the hearsay objection. Do you have a response to the hearsay exception?
We haven't established Guy Martin yet as a representative of TBD Incorporated.
Have you heard testimony that he was an employee of?
Specifically, not just yet.
Your Honor, I can lay the foundation.
Please do. Sustain pending foundation.
Your Honor, motion to strike any testimony concerning that people policy.
Any testimony that we heard is so stricken.
Ms. Winter, do you know who created this policy?
I don't know who specifically wrote it. I just know that it came from TBD's HR department.
So, is there anything in there about TBD's disciplinary policy?
It does say that TBD employees must adhere to their conduct policy. Any employees that break this conduct are subject to being fired.
And did you commit any behavior during your time at TBD that disrupted this conduct?
No, I never committed any of those.
Now, does the people policy say anything about equal employment opportunities?
Yes, there's a section that says that TBD is an equal opportunity employer.
And in the characteristics that TBD doesn't discriminate against, is age listed?
No, there's descriptions of race, color, national origin, things like that, but not age specifically.
And did you receive any sort of training to implement this new people policy?
No, I wasn't. I was just told to sign it.
Your Honor, may I retrieve the exhibit?
You may.
At this time, we'd like to enter Exhibit 3 into evidence as opposed to Exhibit 3.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. May I be heard on this grounds?
Yeah, please.
No specific person or agent or employee was referenced during this testimony saying that they wrote that specific people policy. At this time, this is admissible evidence because Ms. Winter just said that she didn't know anyone that wrote it, but she knew it came from a department.
Your Honor, may be heard.
Yep.
Ms. Winter did testify that this came from the HR department. It was created by them. The HR department is employed by TBD, and therefore it would be an exception under 801D2D.
Yeah, it's not, I think it's pretty clear that this came from the corporation council, right? I mean, you're not alleging that this is not TBD speech, right?
You're correct in saying that, Your Honor.
Objections overruled. It will be so received into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1.
May I approach the bench attendant?
You may.
All right, now Ms. Winter, you mentioned some changes that Sawyer Shaw has made when she took over TBD. Did the content at all change?
A lot of the content changed more towards pop culture and more contemporary topics.
And did you comply with the request for pop culture articles?
Yeah, I did my best to adjust to the new direction that TBD wanted.
Did you ever receive feedback on your articles?
I did. I received 2 performance evaluations, one in December 2014 and one in December 2015.
What information is included on these performance evaluations?
Well, they discuss how my performance is doing well, and then it also makes suggestions as to how I can improve my articles and my writing.
And who creates these performance evaluations?
They were sent to me by Austin Perez.
So, what did TBD say that you did well in your first performance evaluation?
The first one said that I did a very good job of adjusting to TBD's new contemporary direction, and yeah, that's basically it.
And what did they say that you needed to work on?
They just made recommendations that I gear my articles more towards TV's target audience, which are people in the ages of in their early 20s and early 30s.
So after receiving this performance evaluation, did you do anything to try to connect with this new audience?
Yeah, I did. I attended a social media event so I can get more in touch with the younger audience.
All right, so let's talk about the second performance evaluation that you received. When did you receive this?
I received that one in December 2015.
And this time, what did TBD say that you did well?
They said that they told me to keep up the good work. They were proud of me. And they also mentioned later on in the document that, as the saying goes, you should learn some new tricks.
Objection, Your Honor, best evidence.
Can you clarify your objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Seeing as opposing counsel refers specifically to some exhibits or to some documents that are exhibits in today's trial, I believe the best evidence would be just to offer them into evidence. Seeing as opposing counsel can easily do that.
Response?
Your Honor, if that's your preference, I can do so.
Yes,
Not only my preference, but the requirement of the rules of evidence. Objection sustained. All testimony regarding the performance. Thank you. The performance evaluation. I still need a copy. Performance evaluations are stricken pending their admittance to evidence.
Your Honor, I have exhibits 4 and 9 of opposing counsel can or would like them. It's just to expedite things.
Your Honor, I already have it in my hand, but it's appreciated. May I proceed now?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, I have in my hand what appears to be Exhibit 9. May I approach opposing counsel? Sorry. Let the record reflect that I'm approaching opposing counsel with the document.
No problem, Your Honor.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
So, Ms. Winter, do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is my performance evaluation from December 1st, 2015.
And how do you recognize it?
I recognize it because it's from the HR department, and I recognize all the content as fair and accurate.
So it is a clear and accurate. Is it a clear and accurate depiction of the performance evaluation that you received?
Yes, it is.
So, Ms. Winter, what did they say that you did well?
They said that I've done my writing and improved keeping up with contemporary issues.
And what did they say that you needed to work on?
They said that I need to approach my topic from a fresher perspective.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness to retrieve these exhibits?
As you may.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to submit this documented evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 9.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor, but again, I would ask that Exhibit 4 also be put into evidence, as that is the other performance evaluation.
Yeah, if they so speak about it, yes.
Your Honor, Exhibit 4 was talked about previous just to this.
And that's been stricken.
And we're, yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, maybe I was about to enter.
Yeah. So this is entered into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 2, that's so received, and you may tender that to the bench. Until you enter the other one into evidence, it's still stricken.
Of course, Your Honor.
Previous testimony regarding 9 is re-entered into evidence.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I have in my hand what appears to be Exhibit 4. Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel Exhibit 4. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Ms. Winter, do you recognize this?
Yes, this is my performance evaluation from December 2014.
How do you recognize it?
I just recognize all the content listed what you read.
And is it a clear and accurate depiction of the performance evaluation that you received?
Yes, it is.
So what did Ms. Sky Martin say that you did well?
Sky Martin said that I should be proud of my work, of what the work I have been continuing to do. And those were all the good comments about it.
And what did you need to work on?
Basically, they said I need to get on the same page as our new readers.
Objection, Your Honor, per se.
Your Honor, may be heard.
Yes.
Under the Midlands Rules of Evidence, Rule 801D2D, Sky Martin is a TBD employee, and therefore her statements are not hearsay.
Any response?
Your Honor, at this specific time, Sky Martin was, or we haven't heard that Sky Martin was the person who said these statements.
But their performance evaluation given by TBD, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Is there any other objection, though, that you want to make at this time?
I would object at this time to speculation, Your Honor.
On those grounds, objections overruled. You may proceed.
May I approach, so what did they say you need to work on for this one?
They just said I needed to appeal to our younger audience who's in their 20s and 30s.
May I approach the witness for exhibit?
You may.
May I approach the bench to tender?
It hasn't been entered into evidence
Oh,
yet.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. At this time, we'd like to move People's Exhibit 4 into evidence as under Exhibit 4.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
May I approach the bench?
It is so entered into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 3. You may approach the tender. Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to talk to you about one article in particular that you wrote. Do you remember writing an article that was published on December 15th, 2015?
Yes, I do. That's the article about turntable.
And after you wrote the article, were there any steps needed to be taken before it was published?
Yes, I needed to show it to Austin Perez before it could be published.
And so how did Austin Perez respond?
Austin Perez just published it as normal.
All right, now I'd like to discuss the environment at TBD. How were you treated by your coworkers?
Well, I faced a lot of ageist, a lot of rude comments at the hands of my coworkers and Sawyer Shaw.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Response?
Your Honor, this witness is a reasonable witness and therefore would reasonably infer if somebody's making fun of her age or not.
Your Honor, may I be heard on this witness?
Yes.
Having Riley Winter's statement saying these comments are ageist, they are discriminatory in nature, is speculative. We can only speak, or Ms. Winter can only speak as to how she perceived them.
The objection is sustained in part and overruled in part. In regards to making fun of her, that shall remain in regards to ageist comments or discriminatory comments. That is so stricken as an ultimate conclusion.
Yes, Your Honor. So, Ms. Winter, were there any specific instances when you were made fun of?
I remember on my 50th birthday, I was given this birthday card, and on the cover was a dinosaur. And inside that birthday card, a lot of my coworkers, including Sawyer Shaw, made references to me being, old, and I felt really hurt by it.
But how do you know that they weren't just joking around with you?
Well, that incident in itself wouldn't have been that big of a
Objection,
deal.
Your Honor, this question calls for Ms. Riley Winter to speculate.
What was the question?
How do you know if they weren't joking around with you? Your Honor, my witness is able to answer that she did not know if she does not know. And if she has a reason for knowing, then she would be able to answer so.
Reason? Okay, what's the question one more time?
How do you know they weren't just joking around?
How do you know they weren't just joking around with you? And this is in regards to
The birthday card, Your Honor.
the birthday card.
I'm gonna overrule that objection.
At this time, Your Honor, I would object to best evidence, seeing as there is an exhibit in today's trial that can be used to qualify this for a court document.
Yep, sustained as the best evidence.
Your Honor, I have in my hand what appears to be Exhibit 8, the birthday card. Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel the birthday card. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Ms. Winter, do you recognize this?
Yes, this is the birthday card I received on my 50th birthday.
How do you recognize this?
I recognize the comments made by my coworkers and everything else that's right to me.
And is it a clear and accurate depiction of the birthday card that you received?
Yes, it is.
So, Ms. Winter, how do you know that they weren't just joking around on your birthday card?
Objection, Honor Page. And may I be heard?
No, she can explain. I'll overrule it.
Ms. Winter, I don't know if you had the chance to answer my question, but how did you know that they weren't just joking around on the card?
Well, all these comments, they're just really hurtful to me, and I feel like other instances of people talking about my age they just add to the fact that people were, you know, they didn't like that I was old.
Your Honor, may I oppose the witness?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation. May I be heard?
As to that, they didn't like that I was old.
As to Ms. Riley Winter's testimony, as to the fact that they didn't like that I was old.
What was the exact phrasing of that last sentence? I hate not having to quote the word.
I said, shoot.
Did you say that they did not like that I was old, or did you say that I did not like that it, like, what, yeah,
I just said that they didn't, it seemed like they didn't like I was old.
it seemed like they didn't like, okay. Sustained.
Your Honor, motion to strike?
Yeah, it's stricken.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness to retrieve these?
Yes, you may.
Now, did Sawyer Shaw ever make any other comments about your age?
Yes, I received emails from Sawyer Shaw basically making comments about my age within them.
Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel Exhibit 7. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Do you recognize this, Ms. Winter?
Yes, this is an email from Sawyer Shaw to all staff.
How do you recognize it?
I recognize the content of it. It's from Sawyer Shaw.
And is it a clear and accurate depiction of the email that you received?
Yes.
Now, what about this email did you consider ageist?
The fact that Sawyer Shaw was, made a comment about between Jurassic World and my recent success, it's been a great summer for dinosaurs.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Your Honor, may be heard.
Briefly.
Under 801D2D, this is a statement by Sawyer Shaw, who is an employee at TBD.
Response?
No response.
Overruled.
Ms. Winter, did you get the chance to answer my question?
I'll repeat it. Sawyer Shaw writes in the email that between Jurassic World and my recent success, it's been a great summer for dinosaurs.
Were there any other comments referring to your age in this email?
Basically, Sawyer Shaw also wrote that, guess whose article about Calvin Harris was retweeted? That's right, Riley Winter. So basically, like, surprised that I was, you know, mentioned by Calvin Harris.
And what is the
Objection,
subject?
speculation, Your Honor.
Yeah, document speaks for itself, well sustained, as just the latter part of, you know, the surprise.
Ms. Winter, what is the subject line on this email?
The subject line reads, "Not dead yet."
Your Honor, may I approach the witness to retrieve the exhibit?
You may.
At this time, we'd like to enter this into evidence, Your Honor, as plaintiff's Exhibit 7.
Any
No
objection?
objection, Your Honor.
May I approach the bench?
So received as plaintiff's exhibit 4.
All right, Ms. Winter, let's move forward a few months and talk about December of 2015. What, if anything, out of the ordinary happened on December 20th, 2015?
Well, on December 20th, I was asked to take headshots for the website TBD.
And let's end out of the ordinary on December 23rd, 2015.
Well, on December 23rd, a few minutes before our Christmas party, I was called into Austin Perez's office, and at that point, I was terminated.
And did Austin Perez say where the decision to fire you came from?
Austin Perez said that it came from higher up.
No further
Objection.
questions at this time, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Perez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Response?
Your Honor, under Midland's Rules of Evidence, Rule 801D2D, this is a Midland's, or excuse me, a TBD employee.
Any response?
No, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Excuse me, no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Motion to approach time, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Ms. Winter, during your examination, you spoke about these performance evaluations, correct?
That's correct.
And you said that these performance evaluations were sent to you by Austin Perez, right?
The performance evaluations were sent by Sky and Martin from HR.
So just to clarify, you're saying now that these performance evaluations were sent to you during Sky Martin?
Yeah, I looked at the documents and my memory was refreshed again.
Okay. Now, Ms. Winter, you would say that you're a good writer. You were a good writer at TV Incorporated, right?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation as to what a good writer is.
Your Honor, may I be heard?
Not necessary. I'm going to overrule it. The witness can give her lay witness opinion.
Ms. Winter, you would say you were a good writer at TV Incorporated, correct?
Yes, I was proud of my work and so were my employers.
And you were there prior to Ms. Shaw taking over the company, right?
Yes, I was, for 20 years, over 20 years.
Now, you mentioned that you received some awards prior to Ms. Shaw coming to TV Incorporated, right?
That's correct.
You were nominated for a Pulitzer Prize, correct?
That's correct.
But that's before Ms. Shaw took over the company, right?
That's correct. I've had a long career in writing.
Now, after Ms. Shaw took over the company, you didn't receive any more awards, correct?
That's technically true.
Ms. Winter, I want to talk to you about your job as a senior writer. You were the highest paid writer, to your knowledge, at TV Incorporated, correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about how you exactly came to that position of being the highest paid writer.
Okay.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that I'm approaching opposing counsel with Exhibit 22.
I'm going to refer to it in its entirety.
Your Honor, permission to approach Ms. Winter.
You may.
Ms. Winter, these are your clicks, shares, and article numbers for the years of 2015, correct?
That's correct.
And this is a fair and accurate presentation of that spreadsheet, right?
Yes, it is.
No, it hasn't been tampered with in any way, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to move Exhibit 22 into evidence.
Your Honor, objection to hearsay.
Your Honor,
Response.
this is a record of regularly conducted business activity.
This is the spreadsheet of clicks and what?
Clicks, articles, and shares. Your Honor. Specifically, if I might draw this court's attention to the declaration of Olivia Wolbert. She certifies the stock business.
Any response to business record exception?
Your Honor, we object to the authentication of Olivia Wolbert.
On what basis?
She's not present here today, and we are not able to report off her.
Well, that's unfortunately the point of the declaration. On that basis, it's a good point, but because of not life, that's overruled on that point and overruled on hearsay grounds. It's so received into evidence as Defense Exhibit 1.
Ms. Winter, if you would flip one page, please, of the spreadsheet. And if I might draw your attention to your averages at TV Incorporated for the year 2015. Your averages for clicks, shares, and articles are below all of the writers, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, this is cumulative as this document has been entered into evidence.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Very briefly.
I only asked Ms. Winter about one specific question on this one document. At this time, I believe it serves as clarification, as emphasis on certain key points for the jury.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Don't linger.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Winter, your shares, articles, and clicks clicks are below all of the writers at TBD Incorporated, correct?
Well, that's just for my shares. My clicks are actually above average.
Well, you're getting less clicks, less shares, or excuse me, I'll rephrase the question for you. You're not first in any of these three categories, right, Ms. Winter?
No.
Now, there are 21 total writers at TBD Incorporated, correct?
Correct.
And in terms of shares, you're 14th, correct?
I believe so.
Your Honor, may I approach Ms. Winter and review the document?
Yes, you may.
And at this time, I'd like to send her to you.
Please do. So received.
Ms. Winter, Sky Martin sent you yearly performance evaluations, correct?
That's correct.
Now, in these performance evaluations, they were compiled by, to your knowledge, Sawyer Shaw and Sky Martin, correct?
I don't know who compiled them, I just know that it came from Sky Martin.
Okay. Now, Your Honor, permission to approach Ms. Winter with exhibits 4 and 9.
Have you shown those to opposing counsel?
They're in evidence, Your Honor. My apologies.
Please retrieve them from the bench then, to use for city purposes.
Your Honor, permission to approach Ms. Winter.
You may.
Ms. Winter, these are the performance evaluations that you received from Sky Martin, right?
That's correct.
Now, after 1 year, you were given 3 comments on your first performance evaluation, correct?
That's correct.
They told you that you needed to get on the same page as in your leadership, correct?
As I said earlier, that's correct.
It said get outside your comfort zone, right?
That's correct.
It said be a team player, right?
That's right.
So that you would agree these are improvements you need to work on, correct?
I mean, they were made in 2014, and I feel like I did improve on all those areas.
Okay, well, let's look at 2015 now. Let's look at that exhibit 9 that I handed you. And I want to focus specifically on that last paragraph. However, I do have one mission critical action for you. Here it says that you still need to approach your topics from a fresh perspective, correct?
That's correct.
So it's an indication that you're not meeting all the standards that TBD Incorporated. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Brief response.
Your Honor, this is a performance evaluation that's made by the departments and the management at TBD Incorporated, merely relaying information to Ms. Winter that she's still not meeting the standards. Now, I asked Ms. Winter, if to her knowledge, that she was, or in her opinion, if she would say that she was meeting all the standards based on this statement.
Rebuttal.
Your Honor, Ms. Winter is not able to say what Sky Martin or Sawyer Shaw or any of the other higher-up employees think about her performance other than this very, very limited scope, and it'd be irresponsible to have her speculate of whether she was completely meeting the company's expectations.
May I respond to those grounds, Your Honor?
2-second response.
This is simply in her, I'm simply asking her if she would agree that she's performing or where she needs to be.
I think she, because it's her performance as well as and you've already established that she's aware of the standards to which she's held. The performance evaluation directly speaks to those standards, so I will overrule the speculation objection.
So, Ms. Winter, you would agree that you're still not meeting all of the standards at TBD Incorporated?
Well, I mean, I did my best to try to adjust my writing to those standards.
Well, okay, but wouldn't you agree that you're still not meeting all of these standards?
I mean, I guess there's room for improvement for everyone.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Winter, I want to talk to you about this audience at TBD Incorporated. Permission to approach and retrieve these documents, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. I want to talk to you about that audience. You had spoken several times with Austin Perez, right?
Oh, could you repeat the question?
You had spoken several times to Austin Perez, right?
That's right.
And is that and he had told you that there was a different audience at TBD Incorporated now, right?
That's true.
In fact, in the performance evaluation, they told you that the target audience was 20 and 30-year-olds, correct?
That's correct.
Now, Ms. Winter, you don't have a target audience, do you?
No, when I write my articles, I intend for them to be for a broad audience. I feel like anyone of any age should be able to relate to my articles.
Right?
No, I feel like that opens up my writing to be
Well,
enjoyed by all
I'm not
ages.
asking you about how you want your articles to be interpreted. I'm just merely asking you if you did not write to the target audience that TBD Incorporated, did you?
Well, if I'm writing to everyone, then I guess my target audience would be 20 to 30 and 40s and 50-year-olds.
So you're stating that you are writing to a specific demographic, Ms. Winter?
No, all demographics.
So you don't have a demographic, Ms. Winter?
No, I don't.
Miss Winter, wouldn't you say that Austin Perez had to push you almost every single day to start writing more articles?
Austin Perez was asking all of us to produce more articles per week. I was writing one article.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Your Honor, you heard?
Yeah.
The witness said that Austin Perez was pushing her to write more articles. She did not make any sort of statement that could be considered hearsay.
Response.
At this time, I amend my objection to non-responsive, Your Honor.
What was the question?
Austin Perez it felt like Austin Perez had to push you every single day to start writing more articles,
And she started,
talking about other writers.
I believe she was talking about what she was originally having to do. You were saying, you were about to say that you were writing one article per week, I think that was the statement. No, objections overruled.
Ms. Winter, I'll re-ask a question for you. It felt like almost every single day, Austin Perez had to push you to write more articles, right?
I had to start producing 3 articles per week, and he was pushing everyone to produce more articles.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of personal knowledge.
Your Honor, may be heard.
Very briefly, did you also want to tag in the non-responsive?
Yes, sir.
Very brief response.
As Ms. Winter is an employee at TBD and works very closely with Austin Perez and the other writers, she would see whether or not he was pushing them to write more articles.
May I respond, Ms. Mills?
No, that's not necessary. It's going to be sustained on the non-responsive as to the latter portion of the statement, not the earlier portion regarding what he was doing with other writers. Feel free to address it on redirect. That portion has been stricken. Proceed.
So, Ms. Winter, it felt like almost every single day, Austin Perez had to push you to write, just you.
Well, I had no problem writing the articles themselves. I love writing, it comes naturally.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Yep, sustained.
Ms. Winter, all I need is a yes or no on this question. It felt like almost every single day, Austin Perez had to push you to write more articles. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Winter, you would say that this was hard for you, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't hard for me.
Ms. Winter, you remember you're taking part in that position prior to this trial, correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, permission, let the record reflect I'm approaching opposing counsel with the deposition of Riley Winter. And specifically, I will be referring to... Your Honor, permission to approach Ms. Winter.
Yeah, you may.
Ms. Winter, this is your deposition that I just handed you, correct?
Yes.
And if you would flip to that last page, that is your signature, right?
Yes.
And you were told that you had to be honest, truthful, and complete in all of the questions that you were asked, right?
Yes.
Now, if you would flip to page 5, please, and specifically drawing your attention to the line 149 and 150, the question that was asked you was that hard, in reference to the content that was being asked of you, right?
That's right.
Now, you said it was in that very next line, right?
Right, but if you continue reading, it said it wasn't hard to
Mr. Winter,
someone.
I'm not asking you about what you continue reading, but your response was yes, it was hard, right?
Objection, Your Honor, this is improper impeachment.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Argue for the improper impeachment.
Winter made a statement that she did, however, he's not letting her finish that.
So what's your argue? Response.
May I make an offer of proof, Your Honor?
Yes.
The questions that are talked about are specifically by the proposer who's asking in reference to the articles that were being demanded of Ms. Winter. Now, the question came down to this: was that hard in reference to writing more articles? Ms. Winter's response was, it was. Now, it wasn't hard for her to summon the energy, which is something else. And it was hard to find that menu topic, which is again something else. Where her final answer was that yes, it was hard.
Impeachment is proper when we have a contradicting statement. The statement that she testified to a minute ago was, no, it was not hard. Regardless of the explanation for the reason of the answer, the fact that she said, yes, it was hard, is improper. Impeachment is overruled, and you may proceed.
So, Ms. Winter, it was hard for you, right?
Yes, according to the